After his quest to retrieve the orb and the sceptre, the rightful ruler has returned. But all is not well in the city of Irsmuncast Edge, for an army of foes, spawn of the rift, have risen up and assaulted the city. Not only that, but rumour has it they are marshalled by one ancient foe, an old enemy. Sorcerak, the leader of the Legion of the Sword of Doom, has brought death and destruction to this fair city, and it is up to the ruler to defend it. But he is no mere mortal politician. This is Avenger. He is ninja, and he follows the way of the tiger. I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in quality. My way is the way of the tiger. Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry, and it's time for some more of The Way of the Tiger. In the last episode, we suffered an unfortunate fate in combat on the battlefield. It happens. Sometimes the dice just hate us, especially when we're forced to use map tools. But hey, maybe we'll get some good rolls tonight. So we're going all the way back to the beginning of the adventure. Don't worry, I'll skip over content that's already been covered before, unless it requires some dice rolls. So we are back at the beginning. We have a copy of our character sheet from the end of book 4. And since the introduction here doesn't even cover the combat rules or anything, and the introduction from the reprinted edition tells us to restore our inner force and endurance points, guess what we're going to do? I'll leave the endurance there just to make a point, but we will need the inner force. I believe we get a full complement of shuriken when we make it to the forces defending the city. And we once again have our combat penalties to all modifiers, therefore assuming fate modifier as well, for losing one eye. This number was the health of the monster at the end of the book. And our backup character sheet from our previous attempt is here with all the information still on it, should we need it. So we stand on the battlements, once again having received the message from Sorcerak, while the evil armies from the Rift rampage through the city. The smoke from the burning city obscures the scene. It is difficult to make anything out from your lofty vantage point at the top of the palace. There is no sign of Force Lady Gwyneth, nor of the Irsmuncast army. You have no way of knowing whether all resistance has been crushed or whether there is still hope of turning the tide. The orb and sceptre are heavy in your hands.
You have no idea whether they hold potent magic that will aid you, or whether they are mere baubles, no more than symbols of the overlordship which you have lost. Will you descend the staircase into the palace, or examine the orb and sceptre on the battlements? Now, we are going to go straight down the stairs into the palace. If we dawdle for but a moment up here on the battlements, the troll will arrive at the bottom of the stairs and we'll have to fight it to get out of here. If we go down right now, this is the only way we can avoid it, hence the episode title. And even then, it might not be for long. The staircase leads directly down to the throne room. Outside the great bronze doors you see the seneschal doubled up as if in pain. He has proven a trusty henchman. Actually, no, it's proven, isn't it? Yeah. He has proven a trusty henchman during the difficult days of your overlordship, and his face, as he catches sight of you, is an amusing mixture of surprise, joy, and pity at the sight of your lost eye. "Avenger," he says, "you have returned to be our salvation once again. I knew you would." He is wounded and bleeding, but not near death. You motion towards the throne room. "Is it safe?" The seneschal nods. Then there is the sound of uncouth orcish voices on the stairway below. We can carry the seneschal into the throne room, or leap down the stairs to do battle, at which point the orcs will back up and the troll will come and fight us. So we head into the throne room. The well-oiled doors to the throne room swing open soundlessly, and you carry the seneschal to a couch and lay him down before turning the great lock that seals the doors shut once more. There is the sound of uncouth orcish voices in the hallway outside as you cross the throne room to sit for a moment on your carven marble throne with its griffin shield. The seneschal says, "They will batter the doors down within minutes, Avenger. What is to be done?" You remember the secret passage by which you first entered this room to assassinate the evil usurper. You tell the seneschal that he is safe in your hands, and then you ask him what has happened in the city. "After your departure, Overlord, the city was calm. As a 10-day passed without word of you, those citizens who wished for a new Overlord started a rumour that you would never return, that you had gone to seek the orb and sceptre in the rift and been swallowed up inside that evil place forever. 6 days ago, news came that a new army of evil beings had issued forth from the bowels of Orb to attack the city. Still, there was no news of your majesty. The merchants fled the city, taking with them such wares as they could carry. The army and the militia, led by the demagogue, manned the walls, but the black tide of evil swamped them this morning, and great cave trolls breached the city wall. Orcs and dark elves, led by some terrible sorcerous monster, have taken much of the city, and the eastern quarter burns. The temples on cross streets still hold out, and our forces have retreated to the plaza of the infinite instant before the temple of time." As he speaks, there begins a loud battering on the doors to the throne room. At least you still have some troops left who may rally to your standard, but it will not be long before the doors cave in and you are both taken. We better get a move on then. The seneschal rises from the couch, and you make for the secret doorway that connects the throne room to the dungeons beneath the palace. Suddenly, the sceptre seems to almost tug itself out of your grasp. Will you tie it to your costume and leave the throne room, or examine it? If we stop to examine it, it will reveal a secret compartment in the throne, which will contain a message describing the powers of the sceptre to us, by which point the enemies will be in the throne room and the cave troll will be here to attack us. Therefore, we'll just secure the sceptre and get out of here while we still can. I mean, it's useful information, but pretty easy stuff to guess, so not necessarily necessary. The sceptre is secured in a moment, and the secret door creaks open, revealing rough-hewn steps leading downwards into semi-darkness. The seneschal finds a torch in a bracket at the stairhead, and striking flint and tinder, sets it alight. The seneschal pulls on the torch bracket, and the secret door swings shut behind you. Until the orcs can fathom its secret, you are safe from pursuit. The torch lights a chamber at the bottom of the stairs. The chamber contains a table, ancient tomes and scrolls, and a parchment bearing strange hieroglyphs hangs on one wall. Here it was that you had the misfortune to encounter an old one of the nameless horrors of the deepest catacombs of the rift. The seneschal reaches for one of the scrolls and unfurls it, but you caution him that there is no time to lose. "But, Overlord, these may be magical scrolls for use against the despoilers of our city." A red glow creeps around the walls. The seneschal screams, "Ah!" drops the scroll and looks at the spot where it falls as if it were a viper. His body jerks and he falls to the floor. The torch goes flying and all is lost in darkness. Even the night vision of an owl is of no avail here in the palace dungeons. By the time you have found the torch and nursed it back into flame, the seneschal is already dead. The back of his skull has been laid open to reveal the pulpy mass of his mangled brains. There is the faintest sound of something approaching, and you steel yourself, waiting for an unseen foe to attack. Will you turn around suddenly in case the thing that killed the seneschal is going to attack the back of your head as well, or remain facing the fallen body? If you try to look through the emerald orb, all you can see is a confused mass of light. That's interesting, because we have no reason to look through the emerald orb. If we had embedded it in our skull, we would have no possibility of reaching this section and would have been forced to fight the troll instead. I will remain facing the fallen body, because what killed him may not have done so recently and might not have had the time to sneak around behind me. Suddenly, the invisible assassin takes shape before you. It slithers onwards on centipede's legs, but it is 3 meters tall. As it approaches, you make out a hideous human face with a gaping hole for a mouth, surrounded by feeding tendrils. It has 4 arms, and its body is that of a gigantic bloated centipede. A wicked scorpion's tail dangles, a vicious poison barb just behind the awful head. You recognize it instantly as the most powerful and terrible monster you have ever had to face. Mardol, one of the dreaded sons of Nil, Mouth of the Void, the warped offspring of a god. You once banished it from this plane in the city of Harif on the Crow River, but that was with the aid of powerful magic. You have no such magic now. Will you throw yourself on the mercy of your god, Quan the Redeemer, and pray, or give battle, even though to do so would seem hopeless? We will fight. Our health has been fully restored. We have all our inner force. As Mardol lurches forwards to strike, you have time only to duck and drive a cobra strike punch below the studded leather belt that covers the divide between his human torso and the bloated centipede body. Mardol's defense is 6. So we're looking to throw a punch. Our punch modifier has been reduced to 0, so it's a straight 2 dice roll. 8 is higher than 6. Excellent. If you have struck successfully, let us be grateful that we have, for we do not need to find out the alternative. Surprisingly, your blow causes the enormous son of Nil to convulse and slither backwards. Then he seems to collapse in on himself like a shrinking balloon and change colour until he is black all over. When the process is complete, you see before you not a son of Nil, but a Vulcan imp, a being from the lower planes, the 7 hells, or the many layers of the abyss. Such beings are able to reach into men's minds and dredge forth images of fear from the memory. The imp only appeared to be Mardol, but your problems are not over yet. It grins malevolently and its skin begins to smoke. Soon the clouds of smoke will have completely obscured it, and it will attack again. Will you return to the throne room, where there are orcs and a cave troll? Bloody hell no. Or risk everything in a reckless attack into the smoke? We must press on. Look at this little bugger. It's getting a fist in the face if we can. If we can only just deliver. By luck alone, you cannon into the smoking imp and knock it to the floor, then drive several blows into its body. If you have the skill of Yubijutsu, nerve striking, then you get to turn to a different section and something rather, different can happen. Otherwise, the imp squirms free before you can kill it, and it scampers out of the room, still trailing smoke behind it. And thus the imp is gone, and with it, the magic potion someone asked about in the comments section a few episodes ago. An imp's smoke burns your throat as you feel your way through the subterranean passages. You are forced to abandon the chase. When you have passed the tombs of the dead lords and the imp is nowhere to be found, you pass through the cell that has been used as a troll's lair, and finally out into the graveyard next to the tomb of a long-dead lord, Lord Kalman. Stealthily, you make your way unseen into the city streets. And it is at this point that we get to section 73. Fires rage everywhere. The bodies of your townsfolk litter the streets, and the gutters run with blood. Your people have not given up their city without a struggle, but everywhere you look there are orcs. Orcs sporting the emblem of a woman's head cut off at the neck, dripping blood. The orcs of the severed head like nothing more than looting, despoiling, and pillage. You are close to despair, forced many times to hide in the shadows as groups of orcs rush out of houses waving treasures, heirlooms of the families whose blood stains their moors blacker than night. At last you come to the windmill tower on Seven Post Road, an easy climb. Hanging beneath one of the windmill's great sails, you survey the city. And from there, we get to 55, 33... and are reunited with the forces defending the city, at which point I believe we are fully healed by a healer. Restore your endurance to 20, yep, and then obviously we'll go look for Antostus One Eye. See you in a bit. So our next dice roll is at section 371, where Shadazar calls down lightning. And we're rolling to see if we are targeted. We have lost our +1 fate modifier, so we're lucky on a 7+. Fate is with us. We are not struck by lightning. Oh, also we have hurled our first ninja star and used a point of inner force on the Dark Elf commander outside to free the mercenaries. Second ninja star into the back of Shadazar's head. No inner force required. After section 121, at the banquet, we go through the whole sequence of reinserting the eye into the eye socket, which would have made less sense if we'd done so earlier, but this is a somewhat more optimal route. And now the response from the councillors at section 191 makes more sense because they wouldn't have seen the eye in place before. So now we come up against the spawn of a rift. Horrid fight. We need to try and drop it as quickly as possible to reduce the amount of attacks it will get against us. Our defense against it is somewhat higher if we kick instead of punch. So punch we shall. And it has 24 endurance. Oh, bloody hell. This is, however, our first fight of the book. And we only have one fate roll to get this far. So theoretically, this is our starting point, right? It's easy to hit but our defense isn't that great against it either. It hits very hard, and it needs to deal less than 12 damage to us before we can kill it. I believe last time I used... Now. Oh, that's a point. With 4 points of inner force, we need to have at least, what, 2 or 3 left? So yeah, we're just going to go full inner force kick for now. Also, all modifiers have been restored due to the Emerald Eye. I did say an inner force kick. So, 2 dice plus 2. Look, it's pretty hard to miss. Yeah, exactly. It's more the damage we should be concerned about. Okay, that's 6 points. That is not a great start. It attacks back. That's a hit. We block. It misses. We kick. -2 goes to a straight roll. We hit, unsurprisingly. A single kick, no inner force. 8 points. Excellent. Knocks it down to 10. It then attacks back against us. Don't know why that one didn't take, but there we go. That's a hit. We block. It still hits because our defense is 6. 2d6 plus 3 is going to hurt. 9 points. Oh god, that's going to be really close, isn't it? Well, I have a little bit of a... We are on full health, which I should have marked off previously, so that puts us on an 11 because of the priest healing us outside the Temple of Time. We need to deal 10 points. So I am desperately... Oh, this is really bad because Honoric's going to take another... Yeah, 1 inner force kick. And we kind of just roll it. That's a hit. Not that there was ever any doubt. And 5, 10 damage. Perfect. Ends the fight. We will now have a single point of inner force available to us when facing the old one. Not great. And we will have to face the spiders. However, we got 3 ninja stars this time, right? That's a good sign. 303. Errata. Defeating Spawn of the Rift. 323, not 303. Got it. Okay, the speed run continues. So we're at section 373 with the Dark Elf Magicians and their 3 poisonous spiders. Now, we have enough health that being bitten by a single spider will not kill us, and we can make it through the encounter. And it's been a few weeks, but we do know how to do it. I might not remember, but there is a way to be bitten by only one. I think it's advance towards one of the spiders, then back up towards the rocks, and one spider comes crawling out and bites us, and it's only a single spider. However, there are instances where 2 or all 3 spiders can bite us. What we could try is throwing ninja stars at the spiders, right? However, the spiders scuttle quickly across the burnt earth towards you, zigzagging and darting wildly. They seem to gravitate towards cracks in the ground and stones automatically, as if in search of safety. Note how many throwing stars you have, and then roll a single die to see how good your marksmanship is. Add the die score to the number of shuriken you have left. A low score is 1 to 6, medium is 7 to 9, and high is 10 or 11. We only have 3 ninja stars, so we cannot get more than a 9. If we had all 5, we could get an 11. So, to get the 10 or 11 would require all 5 shuriken and rolling a 5 or 6. With 4 shuriken, it would be just a 6, and a 4 or 5 would get us the middle result. as it stands, we'd have to roll over a 4. That's a 1 in 3 chance to get the middle result, which even then at 65, I believe would only kill 2 of them. Let's just check on that. 1 still remains. Okay. Okay. But if we roll low, more than 1 remains, and we get bit by, I believe, 2 of them. So, instead of throwing ninja stars and taking a random roll, we just, from 373, I believe, go to 15. 15, then, is it like 204, something like that? 208? 205. So fall back towards the Pier of Rock. 205. And 1 spider was hiding under that rock. Trodden on one of the executioner spiders and are bitten. 225 because of the immunity to poison. We take 8 damage and smash all the spiders into a bloody pulp. The Dark Elves leave. We haven't used any of our 3 ninja stars. We are on 3 endurance, and we go on to the City of Sorcerak and the Council. Fortunately, the illustration by section 227 drastically sped up the speed run here, and I was able to skip the whole council section. However, we still need to infiltrate Honoric's camp. We need to kick a guard, because it's easier than throwing a ninja star. There we go. Then, on the way out of the camp, we have to punch the magician. Successful punch. This now leads to the duel with Honoric at the start of the battle. And as we should remember from last time, his sword is so terrifying that it drains away 1 point of our inner force before we are even able to fight him. This means that when we face the old one, we will only have 1 point of inner force to prevent ourselves from having our soul sucked into its mace. So we would need to block a lot. We also probably need to block against Honoric just to survive, because he's a bloody good fighter. If I recall correctly, jump back out of range and then see where it goes from here. Honoric's defense against the Forked Lightning Strike kick is an 8. His defense against the punch is a 9. And our punch modifier is 1 lower. Our defense is 7 in either case, so it's pretty much just a pure kicking fight. And while there's temptation to use inner force, we have to resist that. And it's a horrible fight. We're on full health. We do... Right. Arguably, theoretically, the old one could hit us twice. Once for a point of inner force, once for a fate roll. After that, we probably can't risk, you can't guarantee another one. And we'll get 10 points of health back after this fight anyway. So it only really matters. It does do d6 plus 2 damage with its magical mace though. So it does matter how much Honoric damage does to us. And he's a good fighter. It's not good. We don't need a full kill though. We just need to do 18 of that 24 damage. Not fun. So, we're kicking, looking to beat an 8. Good start. A kick will do 3 points of damage. Not such a good start. Okay. At least NPCs don't get modifiers to their attack rolls, but Honoric just misses. Okay, that's good. We're ducking and diving. You know, we're going to dance like a pseudo-dragon, sting like a sturge, and kick him again, if we can. Nope. So he slashes with his sword. Misses. That's great. We'll get a third kick in if we can. No. His sword will definitely hit. We try block. He hits. Hurts like hell. Okay. It's like a super kick with 3 extra damage on it. 8 points. Ow. Knocks us down to 12. Okay, we should start taking this a bit more seriously now. And we are kicking with no modifier because we tried to block. We hit anyway. Excellent news. We strike for 7 points, which takes him down to 14. It's good going. Okay. Then he... I didn't even need to do that, did I? Then he attacks... Misses. Because we didn't block, we're back up to full kick modifier. We kick. We hit. 4. Possibly enough. 6 points. Takes him down to 8. So he gets to attack again. Worse luck. Seven. Our defense is 7, so we are not struck. So we get to kick. And hopefully this ends the fight. It does end the fight because we can't roll low enough to not do 2 points of damage. Because a kick is d6 plus 2. So, fight ends. We get healed 10 points. Taking us back up to full health. And then I get to skip to section 168. Fighting the old one. But before I do that, let's open up the battle map again and review the situation, just for fun. Right, so, looking at the situation, we do not know entirely where the monks of the Scarlet Mantis are. They've done their job. We don't know if they've kind of joined with the Legion here or are sneaking around somewhere or have mostly perished because they broke the mercenaries. These soldiers have pretty much left the battlefield pursuing our mercenaries. I do not know how many casualties have been inflicted over here. However, I do know this unit has been taking casualties and is being forced back, and that these 3 infantry units may have taken very heavy losses. This side of the battlefield is fairly irrelevant at this point. However, the speed with which we were able to redeploy this cavalry from sitting over here waiting to aiding here at the ford, and yes, those cavalry are technically on the other side of the stream, just everything's cramming in here. The speed with which we were able to redeploy that cavalry is important compared to how the infantry units have been bogged down in combat. Now, where are we? Lady Gwyneth's troops here have taken heavy losses, as have the Legion of the Sword of Doom, so these are obviously depleted. The only units I've actually inflicted casualties on are these 2 cavalry units, because we have had a listed force size update on them and know how many there are. If we can crush the Legion cavalry, and we know they have taken losses as well, I think I might have actually put some damage on them too. I did. To match up with the damage that was dealt to each of these, approximately. But I'm representing all other units at full strength. That is probably not the case. The crossbowmen are probably still in pretty good condition, as they haven't really seen any major fighting yet. They've just been shooting. The swordsmen took heavy losses trying to cross the stream here, and the cavalry took some losses because they were disordered and in disarray and unable to fight very effectively. We have more men of Avaneg here. These may need to retreat to the farm. We have our wood elves shooting into the side here, who are superior. And our rangers haven't really done anything very much in this battle so far, but that's probably okay. We have the White Wizard flying over the forest fighting the wyverns. I believe he defeats them and returns to us badly wounded and unable to take part in the rest of the fight, I think we pretty much win the fight over here. I'm not sure if these actually get to cross the ford and gain ground, but essentially, if we can crush his only unit of cavalry here, then our 3 units of cavalry, which are really fast, give us a massive cavalry advantage, because the speed allows them to rapidly deploy where they are needed, and also hit hard and fast. And now we get to fight the dreaded Old One with its magical mace, and it's going to be nasty. So here we are fighting the Old One. It has used its magical powers to conceal its identity as it roams the battlefield, and has probably used its mental powers to locate us upon the battlefield as well, since it has been operating on the ground. It will attempt to strike at us with a magically enchanted mace that will attempt to suck the life from our body. This is pretty much a one-move fight, because we cannot kick it, because there's a horse between our legs. Likewise, we cannot attempt most of the throws, because there's a horse between our legs. We may attempt to strike it with the sceptre, which is very hard to land a blow with, because it has a higher defense. I think it's like 8 or 9 against the sceptre. And while the sceptre does deal d6 plus 3 damage, we don't get to add our punch modifier to it or anything. It's just a straight roll to hit. So very nasty indeed. If it manages to strike us with the mace, we have to make a fate roll, which will pass on a 6+, which is pretty good. If we fail that fate roll, we lose our last point of inner force. If we fail it a second time, then we die. Let's get on with it then. We will throw our first punch. Let's clear those. And go. That's a good first punch. Let's see some damage. We do 6 points of damage, taking the Old One down from its horrific 22 endurance points to 16. However, it's got 16 left, and it attacks us with the mace. A 7 will not land a blow because, unless we're blocking, it needs to beat the defense, not merely meet it. That's good. We proceed to our second punch. Good. 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 Excellent. We punch for 5 points, reducing it to precisely half of its original endurance total. However, it will now strike at us with the mace again. 6 does not land a blow. We will attempt our third punch. Didn't happen. We missed. It strikes us with the mace. We'll attempt to block. It still hits us with the mace, which is going to hurt. It hits us for 3 points of damage, taking us down to an endurance of 17. And we have the joy of going to section 208, just like we did last time. We go to 208. As the blow connects, you feel a surge of sorcerous energy that emanates from the black glowing mace threatening to engulf you. Make a fate roll, but subtract 2 from the dice for this roll only. That is horrible. So actually, yeah, we were fortunate still, just. So we can't rely on fate being on our side as much as usual in this fight. You manage to overthrow whatever magical force threatened you. The Old One growls in frustration and will go back to 168 and keep on punching. That -2 fate modifier on the roll is sheer unmitigated evil. That being said, we did try to block, so we're rolling at -1 at this point and obviously failed to hit. The creature strikes back with a mace and misses just, and we are back on normal punching. We hit. Excellent stuff. We deal 5 points of damage. So, theoretically, law of averages, probably 2 punches to win the fight. Maybe 1. Our opponent strikes out with the wicked mace. That hits a lot. Let's try to block. The block is successful. It does not land a blow. That is perfect. So we punch at -1. Miss. That's fine. It attacks. And hit. Oh god. We try to block. We successfully block. You know, this blocking is saving us from a lot of really hard fate rolls. And we only need to fail 2. We punch. We miss. Just. It swings for mace. Oh dear god. We try to block. Successfully. So we're back to punching at -1. We fail to punch at -1. That's fine. It swings. We try to block. Successful block. I'm sensing a bit of a pattern here. We attack at -1 and successfully punch. Excellent. For 5 points of damage. The old one has 1 endurance point left. We only need to land 1 blow. But now it attacks us. And hits. We try to block. It hits. Ow, we say. As we suffer a not very life-threatening 6 points of damage, but we also suffer a not very life-threatening fate roll because we have our inner force left. But it is at -2, so fortune smiles upon us. Ho! We did try to block there, so we are now punching at -1 again. We obviously failed to punch at -1. It attacks and misses. We are now punching at +1 and miss. Oh, clearly the life-draining energies are having some effect on our accuracy, and our opponent absolutely nails this one for mace. We try to block again, successfully, but it takes us back to the -1 punching. We throw a punch. It ain't working. The horse is moving, the target's moving, it's not easy. It belts us one for mace, we'll try and block. It still hits. It hurts a bit. 5 points. This takes us down to... It's almost, at this point, not worth blocking now. Takes us down to 6 endurance points. Oh, it hurts like hell. And a fate roll at -2. Which fails, and we lose our point of inner force. Meaning that now, it all hangs in the balance. And we are punching at -1. Which is not great, obviously, as we missed. The old one also misses, so we're now up to +1 punching. Ah! Ah! Missed by 1. The old one strikes with the mace, also flailing wildly as it's on its last life. And as it's flailing with its last breath, we absolutely nail it with a mega punch, which will do at least 1 point of damage. And we end its miserable existence. Oh, thank heavens for that. It's very tempting to end right there, actually, because that is the most nasty thing that could happen. Your blow caves in the thing's skull and it falls dead. If your allies are the worshippers of fate from the Spires of Foreshadowing, they are not. If not, read on. If your original plan was to defend all along the stream, with your command post now having moved to Crossway Copse, that is very correct. If your original plan was to refuse for left flank with the elves and the wickerwood, the mercenaries and the old farm, no. If your original plan was to refuse right rank, no, we were going all along defence. So, let's see how things stand. You look up from your struggle to a glorious sight. The opposing cavalry has been driven off and is in retreat, falling back in good order. Your presence and the presence of Dore Lejeune, who fights like a whirlwind, was enough to give your soldiers the edge over the elite bringers of doom, but casualties have been heavy on both sides. Okay, let's see how we're going to do this. We can progress another turn. Falling back in good order means they are not destroyed, but let's actually just take them down to a mere 20, and we'll take off half the files as well. There we go. And then we will half these, so 25 and 5. We go 35 and 5, just to emphasize how nasty the fighting has been on all sides. I can go 7, can't I, for 35, right? Here we go. 25. It's just those long cavalry bases. Okay, I'll just knock them down to 20. And then we'll go 10 wide. That's more like a cavalry formation. If we go 36, we can go 6x6. There we go. Why? Do I need to move them a bit to... Okay. 3, 6. 6x6. Okay. So if we stay on the 35... Oh, and go 5 wide, then 7 wide. There we go. Okay, bit better. So these are not fully out of the fight, but they've taken really heavy casualties. You know, we'll knock off another 5, as they may play no further point of the battle at this point. We don't know. These are also severely wounded, so that's all great, sort of. Okay. You look around. The pressure is still on. The far left with the women of Sorcerak at Rurik's bridge seems secure enough. The soldiers of the ford are still grimly holding on, although they seem depleted by a third. We can actually do that. So, we can absolutely knock that down to 100. And take that to 10. So it can just be a 10 by 10. Right? These have probably also lost heavier numbers though. Since we don't know how much and they're fighting over a bridge, they are inferior. They've got essentially an enemy unit behind them as well as in front of them. And they're churned into a narrow killing ground. So we'll take off a lot. Okay. I'm actually going to take off half. And we'll go 10. There we go. Hang on. No, that's not right. That's more like it. Because there were 4,000 of them, now we said there's 2,000 to the 100 here, which is bonkers numbers. It's probably been a little... Look, it's easy to kill them in this space. They're poorly trained, poorly equipped. cramped into a narrow space fighting superior soldiers, the weight of numbers would assume to press back from the bridge, were it not for the fact that they're disorganized and not operating together, and they keep trying to run away instead of a continuous press forwards. And we have the women of Horngroth at the back here who hate men and who really hate the Legion. Oh, you know what? That's actually good, though, right? Because if they end up fighting the women of Dharma here, they won't get any sort of man-hatred bonuses. But the sight at Wood Nugget Wood fills you with trepidation. The soldiers of the Scarlet Mantis have appeared again and are running into the wood. The elves can no longer keep up a steady volley of arrows at the flank of the Legion, but must now be fighting for their lives. The situation of the farm has become desperate. The Legion is repeatedly moving back to allow their crossbowmen to open fire before they charge back into the fray, and they are now applying heavy pressure all along the line, from the farm to the wood. Okay, so let's change these to be 100 wide. Oh god, okay, maybe not then. We'll go back to 50. No, that won't work. Okay. 20 was it? Okay, so if we go 25. And then we shunt these sideways a bit, as they are now fighting on two fronts against both these units, and we'll bring the crossbowmen up to here and back up a little, because essentially the crossbowmen are over to the side here or here, probably both sides. Now they're here firing into the farm, so let's actually do that, right? And we go like that. Like that. Like that. Twice. Okay. And these are facing forwards because it's an orderly retreat, not a disordered retreat. They're not fleeing, you know. And the monks are... they've come all the way over here. Not only that, but Honoric's cavalry has regrouped, and although it is only half as strong, is readying itself for another charge. The battle is in the balance. So half as strong... He had... how many? Originally? He had 500 cavalry, so he should be down to 25 figures there. That is showing 15, so we'll put them back on 25. So their losses haven't been quite as heavy. 5 5s is 25. If we go 24, we can go 6 wide. There we go. And these cavalry units have lost a bit as well. This massive block of cavalry here, though, probably hasn't lost too much, so we might have to reposition them. However, will you lead your cavalry in a desperate attempt to rout the attackers at the ford as quickly as you can? Here's the thing. There has been no mention here of the battle at the ford at all. So we would take both these cavalry units, which could charge the crossbowmen or be ready to counter-charge the cavalry when they come in, and take them over here away from this big massive fight where they're probably needed. Order a general fighting withdrawal to Bridge Beam. Bridge Beam is... where? Where the hell is... The village of Bridgebeam to the village over here. Okay. Now that's a very attractive proposal, because our troops are holding firm here. We could come in and fight defensively in the village. Or ask Glavis and his 20 rangers, experts in woodcraft, to circle wood nugget wood as fast as they can and attack the monks of the Scarlet Mantis in the rear. Glavis and his rangers have done sweet fuck all so far. I think we send them in. They are the best people to deal with the group. They're high-level rangers. They're perfect for this. And it gives us a little more time to see, because if we can get rid of the monks of the Scarlet Mantis, the elves can resume the pressure of archery and keep shooting into the flank here again. And Glavis is an old and trusted friend. We can rely on him. Let's hope I don't regret this. Oh. Okay, good. It's not an auto-kill. Oh! Glavis gallops away, his grizzled rangers behind him. The minutes trickle by slowly. Your soldiers at the farm begin to give grounds. Some legionaries are now among the barn and the outhouses. Suddenly, several red-robed figures burst from the wood. Monks on the run. Glavis and the elves, both masters of woodcraft, are too much for them. Within moments, a small but accurate hail of arrows goes in the flank of the legion. Any that stray too near the wood tend to get hit. This relieves the pressure considerably, enabling Gwyneth to rotate her warriors in the front line. "Horroric's cavalry!" someone shouts. Regrouped and ready for another essay, the Bringers of Doom and the cavalry of the Spires have swung around the farm again. You will have to meet them once more. Raising your sceptre high, you lead another charge. Make a fate roll! Oh god, no, not another fate roll. Okay. Now, that means this cavalry are back in the game. So let's progress another turn. No, let's go back. We send the rangers over here. Well, we'll unlock it then. Look. I can just... There we go. Right. Rangers come in here and assist. And then these buggers... Then we progress another turn. Oh, fuck off. No, look. Right, fuck it. They come in there and assist. And these run like fuck. And are very, very badly dead. So we'll just take them down to 4 figures. If that. 2x2, you know, they are basically fairly irrelevant at this point. And there might actually be 4 of them, not 40. So, you know, yeah. Very heavy damage. So, at this point, Horroric's cavalry are back in business. And given that this does seem to be a dedicated cavalry unit, we will move them here as well. These are some... They've had a lot of time to move around after chasing off the mercenaries. We'll back these up ever so slightly to make things look a bit less clustered. And we are coming in here with these, and they will fit in beside the hill, and whoomph, there. And we're now being asked to make another fate roll. You never know, right? Ah! Fate smiles on us once more. Although we're really pushing our luck at this point. I should probably end the session before things get much worse. This time you manage to rout the enemy cavalry completely. A great cheer goes up as the men stream away in headlong flight. Quickly you swing your tired cavalry around into the flank of the legion. First things first. We get to remove this unit. They is all deaded or gone. And this unit. They are also dead or gone. Then we get to come in here on the side and fuck these up. I'm going to just position those to there, just politely. And then we go bam. Bam. No, fuck off. You're too far over there. And you get to turn round a bit and come in like that. And then you get to go woo, like that. And now, things are looking pretty good for us, right? Those monks are pretty much out of the game. V's about to get really heavily hammered. We'll still have this lot to deal with and the fight over here. Elite force as it is, even the legionaries cannot hold up against such an attack for long. Some of the units break and run, and the rest of the legion falls back, but in an orderly fashion. The Doom over levies also run despite the swords of the Horngroff. So, we get to remove this whole unit. Also, I will now inflict heavy damage on this unit. I'll take them down to 100. And, so looking at that, 20? No. 5, is it? No. 10 by 10, just to maintain it. And I will pull them back to here, but withdrawing in an orderly fashion. I will presume that these crossbowmen are just well and truly in a desperate... They probably get hammered as well by that, so I will reduce them down to 50. Give them 5. No, that's not quite right either, is it? Okay, so 10. And we will pull them back to here as well. There we go. Soon the whole of Honoric's army is in retreat. You have a victory. Your army gives up a joyous shout which gladdens your heart. However, your soldiers are too tired and depleted to pursue and finish Honoric off. Once again, he has escaped with his life. Note that you are unable to pursue. Now, that is interesting because in the reprints, we are still able to pursue at this point, even with this battle plan. Although it won't matter because we have prevented Honoric's allies from the Rift to come to his support as reinforcements. In the distance, you recognize Honoric himself on horseback trying to whip the remnants of his army into good enough shape for a safe withdrawal. But then he puts something to his lips and blows. It is a horn. And there he is blowing it, with the central horn from his three-horned helmet missing, oddly enough. A great echoing blast of sound fills the heavens, seeming to echo across all the planes of existence. Your heart and the hearts of your army quail with fear. Doré Lejeune claps his hands over his ears, then something begins to materialize in front of Honoric. A huge colossus, 8 meters tall and ebony black, appears. In its hand it wields a huge sword, the mirror of Honoric's eldritch blade Sorcerak, but many times larger. The black titan, eyes aglow with lambent fire, lumbers towards you, an aura of pale nacreous light playing along its limbs. Will you ask Doré Lejeune to accompany you in whatever cavalry you have available to charge once more, or order your men to fall back before the monster? I feel, at this point, we do not risk the lives of our men and we back the fuck off. Just saying. It's a little counterintuitive, but our men are already too tired to pursue, which means they're also probably too tired to fight something like this. As the Colossus closes in, Glyfdel, whom you are pleased to see still lives, runs fleetly to meet it with 3 of his fellows. They stop some 7 meters ahead of it and begin to murmur and move their hands in complicated patterns in the air, casting some spell. The ground before the Colossus shifts and it steps forward, not onto firm fields of grass, but onto a huge boggy patch of quicksand. It sinks to its chest and begins to flail about. Glyfdal says a word and the earth hardens, leaving even a Colossus hopelessly trapped. Glyfdal and his companions run back, laughing gleefully. You cannot help but smile, and Dore Lejeune, battered and wounded as he is roaring with mirth. Are you still able to conduct pursuit? Apparently we are not. Honoric leaves the field of battle. His army will not be a threat to the man march for years to come. Tiredly you set about the task of setting your weary army's footsteps on the road to Irsmuncast, still threatened by the men of the Rift, and we get to turn to the much coveted section 420, at last, at long last. The journey takes many days, but finally you are near the City of Irsmuncast. An ominous pillar of dark smoke reaches up to the sky on the horizon. Gwyneth is looking worried as a murmur of disquiet goes up from the soldiers. Quickly you lead a forced march to reach the city as soon as possible. When you do reach it, an army 10,000 strong, mostly of orcs and goblins from the Rift, surrounds Irsmuncast. Parts of the walls are aflame, but the city has not yet been sacked. It seems you have arrived just in time. You begin to prepare for another battle, but at the sight of you and your army, the forces of the Rift begin to pack up their camp and march away, the orcs snuffling and growling as they run along. You enter the city in triumph, hailed as a hero. The saviour of Irsmuncast, the common people call you. But what trials await you next, now that you have defeated Honoric of Doomover? Well, that's a very fun and interesting question. Because the trials that await me next are Book 6, which I have never played. I have glanced through it to check the errata and saw a few pictures, saw a few words many years ago. I did look at it briefly recently again to compare the introduction to the one in the reprint, because the reprint starts with an introduction to all the major characters of the series, and it gives you a quick summary of them as if it was something a sage had written for some mighty lord. And it's nice that that's there. It's not here at all. I looked at section number 1, saw the options, and thought, hey, that's something I should definitely leave until I actually play it. So we'll be doing that soon. I might take a bit of a break between books. I usually do. Might play something else during that break. You never know. But essentially this book, pretty much apart from essentially having seen a few of the pictures, like whatever the hell this is, right? Pretty much a blind playthrough. The same applies to Book 0 and Book 7. After Book 6, I will play Book 0. Then I'll play Book 7 as a grand finale. Could have played Book 0 before Book 1. Technically, I think Book 7 was finished before Book 0, so publishing order would go 7 first, but because they basically arrived together for most of us, including the... Oh yeah, they did not... They did not provide digital versions of the reprints of Book 1 to 6, only Book 0 and Book 7. Apparently for legal reasons to do with the agreement they had. So I will save this. I will slap a copy in here for when I play Book 6. First time there's been a character sheet in this folder in quite enough years, since 2008. Okay, so that's like what, 13 years basically. Wow. I can close map tools and the threat of evil map tools dice. I will be free from that ominous danger for some time now. Also, we get to leave the battlefield. It's tempting to look at how some of the other battle plans played out. I think when I played it the first time, I followed Hivatala's advice, refused the right flank. Had Shieldbanes at the ford, get ambushed by the monks of the Scarlet Mantis. I don't remember much more than that. Apart from, I think, he may have had the levies at the ford, or at this bridge. But anyway, we have been very successful, and that is grand. You know, I'm even going to save this here as a final, because what I could always do... I could go back to, like, the deployment, save it under a different file name, and see how each battle plan plays out. In the reprints, you get told the outcome of the White Wizard's battle against the Wyverns for each of the... So there's some restructuring of the battle, right? You get told that he wins but comes back too exhausted to take part. The being too exhausted to pursue thing, it can still happen, but you can avoid it using the exact battle plan I did. Although maybe dice rolls may have affected that anyway, but yeah, we did okay. I might not have chosen the easiest path through the battle, but I think I chose one of the most dramatic and, for me, emotionally satisfying ones. Oh, and when we go back to the city, the enemies just leave. It's almost like they were just there to be a nuisance. They were... The forces of the Rift have been very cowardly in Book 5. I believe they feature rather heavily in Book 6. I do know that in Book 6 we get the return of Cassandra, Chuchev, and Form. I also know that they all feature in Book 7 as well. I also know that a lot of the illustrations in Book 7 are repeats of earlier ones throughout the series. So let's just have a flick through, look at a few pictures, because we can. That picture gets used a lot. There is a few disturbing illustrations, so these are recycled pictures from earlier in the series, so not necessarily spoilers. This is literally the picture of Chuchev and Form from Book 2 in the cellar underneath, just before the Son of Mardol is summoned. This picture gets used for Lady Gwyneth, Force Lady Gwyneth, quite a lot of times. Not sure I like it massively. The art in here is of varying qualities. This picture also is in Book 2. They like giving full picture illustrations. I'd say some of it is Tumblr art, to be honest, basically. But there's some good pictures as well. This picture of Honoric is used in Warbringer in Book 5, just before the duel, instead of the traditional picture of him, which we've seen in the previous 1 or 2 episodes and this one. Some of this is cartoony and not so good. This picture representing Foxglove, I think it's Book 6, because I think she gets to be by a campfire in Book 6 at one point. This may be new. I don't know. So there's a lot of pictures here in Book 7, right? And we will look at all of them when the time comes. A lot of them, as I said, are repeat. Mandrake. Fucking hell. That's probably not repeated, actually, because he shaved his head after we met him in Book 2 to pretend to be a monk of Quan. That... Please don't be Dore Lejeune. Oh god, it is. Fucking hell. The pictures of him in the reprint of Book 3, there's one with the helmet on and the armor that looks much better. That looks more like Mandrake. And it is. Yeah. That is blatantly the Mandrake illustration from Book 2. this might... No. I was going to say this might be from a previous book, but I don't think it is. Vespers? Where do we know that name from? I know we do. Foxglove again, covering her chest. That face, that thin oval face, I think she has a rounder face in the original illustrations, and it just looks like an alien. It doesn't look like her. Eris, the cleric from book 2, from the adventuring party. I think a lot of them get their... Oh, Glavis and the young priestess pretending to be a little boy from book 3, I want to say. So there are... This is the one that concerns me. This picture of Cassandra, right? They used this picture in book 2, and this is nothing like her. The hair is too neat and smooth. The armor doesn't look rusty enough. Her armor is supposed to not only be made of like scraps of metal from other suits of armor that she's just cobbled together, but it's also supposed to be like rusty and poorly maintained, and this just looks too neat and shiny. Doesn't really quite look patchwork enough. I do not like this picture of her. And that was one of the first pictures I think I saw when I opened the book many years ago. I should probably stop looking at pictures now, because there may be spoilers. Oh, this is the priestess from book 2 they used for the one who asked us information. I don't know how many of these characters can be returning. It's clearly feels like it's going to be a sort of highlights of the series book where you are... I do know that book 6 ends with Avenger captured by... And I can click on this one, because this is hardly a spoiler, because people used to complain that book 6 ended like this, with Avenger bundled up in the spider's web with a great big evil demon spider. Begins with a Q, I think. We've seen her name often enough in the last few books, coming to get us, and with no hope. And for many years, fans didn't know that there was a book 7 planned, but it never got published for some reason. And so it ended up being the end of the series, and it was like, wow, you died. Bad karma, man, or something, you know. So it starts with this, but as this is deep in the rift or the abyss, in some sort of hellish nether dimension, all of the foes we've fought and killed before might come back to make sort of guest appearances. And this updated version of the combat moves illustrations actually appears in all the, you know, color reprints, instead of the beautiful original picture done by Jamie Thomson and sent to the publishers with a note essentially saying, get an artist to do a proper version of this that doesn't look shit. And they just used the version he sent them anyway. Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, with that, I think we've done well, and I'm going to end the episode here. I hope you all enjoyed this one. We have finally completed book 5. Don't ask how many times I had to fight the old one. It was free. 3 times. Fucker. Yeah. Harsh. Harsh fight. And I'll see you all in the next book when I get round to it in the near future. I'm going to say thanks for watching, everyone, and see us all. See you all soon. You're all ninja heroes. I trust you all for mastering the way of the tiger with me. Goodbye, everyone. Cheerio.